Hello and welcome, everybody out there in Union Arena land. We have another Union Arena Deck Tech video. Today we are joined by Kyle from Unionversities. Kyle, say hi.
Hi, everybody. This is Kyle D, better known as Unionversity. My avatar and 800 titles and suffixes that people want to call me. Just don't call me mean names. That's all I ask.
And we are talking about the most aggressive, most explosive deck in the format, Red Kenshin Rush. This is a top-tier deck that's been a big player in Japan's meta, albeit we have received a little bit of a nerf in NA, but don't let that hold you back and sleep on this deck. It is incredibly fast, very dangerous, and a contender for one of the best decks in our format. So, Kyle, I think we all can agree what type of deck this is, right? Control. Aggro.
Yeah, it's control. Energy control. It took the best part of Toto and made it every single card name does the exact same Toto does.
So
swap into the back energy.
We are joking. It is an aggro deck. What separates Kenshin Rush from other red decks in Union Arena or other aggro decks in general?
So, aggro likes to be fast. It is still that full concept here. Every card has some sort of gimmick that relates to that aggression. But the fact that this plays into Rurouni Kenshin's flavor excessively. Kenshin has always been a fan favorite of the anime before, everything else. But by the fact that this character chooses not to kill. He is a samurai that never kills anybody anymore. He used to kill, but after that life choices, he made the choice to never kill again with his sword. There was only few times he's actually killed in the anime, if I remember correctly.
Beats me. I haven't seen it in ages.
Yeah, it's been forever, but I remember at least one episode. He snapped and he was scary as hell.
All right. So what is that special mechanic? During your turn, your opponent's character that lose to this character in battle move to their energy line instead of being sidelined, right?
Yep. So the whole concept is that Kenshin basically knocks them out and pushes them into the energy line. So basically he shoves them back. It helps control in a way that uniquely Red hasn't been done ever, and that is by pushing things back into the energy line. Your opponent chooses basically if their energy line is full, they now have to remove cards. So basically you're giving your opponent having to think. And again, making your opponent have to think in card games is always a win because we like to make people think.
Yes, it is an aggro deck that does well into big bodies as well, since it screws up the energy line. So, looking at this, why don't we go over the early cost of this deck, the transition that it has from zeros all the way up to the 4-drop Kenshins, which are ridiculous.
Yep. So we live on the motto that we are a 4-cost playing deck. Red decks are usually caps at 4. They don't tend to go to do certain higher levels. Makes sense because you should be killing them while being aggressively on the low end. So we have our 0 costs, Kayami. Forget her name. Haven't watched the anime in forever. But she is your filter. She is vitally important to the list because she is when played, draw a card, then place 1 card into your hand on the sideline. Very good. We like that. Filter is good in all decks. Every deck should have one at this point. Next, we have Step Kenshin, because why not have a 0 cost with 2? Literally be able to swing in and have step. During your turn, your opponent's character loses the battle. It moves to the energy line instead. This thing also has a trigger that is a get to add to hand, because why not? I don't understand where their character came from, but they obviously went like, Kenshin needs to be nuts. But
Power creep is a real thing. That is the best 0-drop we have in the game.
Yeah, there is no contestant here, right? An effect with step 2000 DP and a trick get. Like, what did they do?
Well, there is one thing contesting it for best 0-drop.
Yeah, and that's Kenshin. It's the 3000 DP that does your turn. Your opponent character loses the battle. Moves it to the energy line instead. It is 3000 DP, 1 energy. Yeah, we are just going straight for guaranteed effects on our zeros. Most decks have some vanilla form of zeros that are gets, but you know, Kenshin went like, nah, bro, I'm too good for that.
It is a terrifying one. So moving along to the 1-drop.
Yep, the singular 1-drop, and that's Kenshin here. Wow. During your turn, your opponent character loses the battle. It moves to the energy line instead. I'm going to just say this right now. I think there's only like one non-Kenshin that doesn't have that effect, and it's this boy. And that's
the 2
because,
energy, 2 action one, yeah.
Yeah, that's because Boyo went like, hey, I snapped. And this is the scene where he snaps at the end, if I remember correctly. So that's why. That's Kenshin snapping. But this Kenshin is when played. Look at the top 3 cards of your deck. Reveal up to 1 Kenshi or a card among them. Add it to your hand. Place the remaining cards on the bottom. And if you added a card in your hand, place from your hand into the sideline. It's an act trigger and it's 2000 DP. So yeah. We doing things. And then we have our 2 cost here. If Kenshin's on your front line, this character generates 2. So this is where the aggression comes from. She's your energy generator. And then activate main. Once per turn, you can only activate this ability of this character is blah, blah, blah. Only activate this ability on the turn this character is played. So choose up to 1 Kenshin on your field. A game opponent can use this character with abilities unless they place 1 card from the hand into the sideline as an additional cost until the start of their next turn. So basically, if you want to kill the Kenshin, it's gonna cost you cards.
Protect the Kenshin.
Yeah. 2 costs Kenshin. We're gonna skip over the all during your turn effect.
Yeah, every other Kenshin has it.
Yeah, we covered this basis. During your turn, this character gains 1000 DP.
Loses
1000 DP. So he becomes a 3K, but on your opponent's turn, he's a 4000 DP blocker. It is also one of the few cards that actually has a minus. I think it's like the only card, actually.
I haven't seen any others yet.
Yeah. So, and it's a draw trigger, because why not make sure this deck had 4 non-triggers?
Yeah.
We Gucci, we cool. Now the color trigger that basically never goes off, and people hate this color trigger. Nullify impact. During your turn, we already done this. When played, you may place up to 1 card from your hand into the sideline if you do character to active. So basically, allows you to be aggressive. Be aggressive. Be aggressive.
Oh no! Discard one of the cards that your draw triggers gave you. Yeah.
And it's a color trigger. Now you have the 3 cost. This is the one in the starter deck. She says, at the end of the attack phase, if none of your characters were sidelined this turn, which, surprise, we pushed it to the back line. No character was sidelined. They were removed from the game. You may switch this character active. Switch this active character resting if you do draw a card. If you activated, you could only, it's a hard once ability 1 time each turn. So she's a hard once per turn, which makes fair, because if you had 3 of this out, geez, let's add draw to Kenshin's textbook. When played, if on the energy line, you may place 1 card from your hand sideline. If you do, switch this character to active. So she guarantees to get that 1 card back, but then rest of the game, she's just a free 1 draw. Now we're getting into this one, the oath to not kill. This is where Kenshin always states this: he will not kill. So it's just final. Switch to active. And then you have Susen. Choose up to one character with 5,000 DP or less on your front line. Move it to their energy line. If Kenshin is on the field, you may place it at the bottom deck instead. So it decided to take the textbook from, we're going to take JJK's...
Nanami special, yeah.
We're going to take the bottom text of Kento Nanami and the front text, the top text of Boogie Woogie, and we'll do that. Just move it to the energy line or your choice of bottom decking. Your choice. So, yeah. Welcome to the game of Power Crept Removal Spell JJK edition of Rurouni Kenshin. Next, we do have 4 cost Rurouni Kenshin, and that's basically has the above text that says basically during your turn, do the thing. Raid, when attacking once per turn, you may place 1 card from your hand into the sideline. If you do, switch this to active. Wow, pseudo double attack. And then when played, draw. So he guarantees you draw filter. He is the focal point, right?
Yeah.
And then we have 4 cost Kenshin from the starter deck. So reason why you buy 2 starter decks, 4 and 4. He's got impact. When played, choose up to 1 character on your opponent's front line, move it to the energy line. So double moving.
Yeah.
So we do Toto things.
Yes, we certainly do. Yes, we certainly do. And now, in my opinion, the best Kenshin, honestly, for this style of deck. It is so insane.
So, play this character, set it to active. So, there's never a bad moment when it sets to active, right? Even though it costs 2 action points. When played, draw a card, then place 1 card from your hand. Filtering, Q. Activate main. If on the front line, place 1 Oath Not to Kill from your sideline into the removal area. If you do draw a card, gain all Kenshin characters on the field during your turn abilities until the end of your turn. Congratulations. He's now killing.
Yes. 2-drop Kenshin becomes an actual 4K who can kill. You have all of the other Kenshins that can now kill. Yeah, it's scary. It is very scary. So, speaking of scary, how well do you think that this deck is going to be positioned in our meta?
I'm going to state this clear and factual. This is not a tier 0 deck. It is a tier 1 deck, and yes, this is a deck that you have to be playing differently than what you normally do. Please don't run into this thinking you can play the matchup the same as any other matchup, because you have to be thinking about, instead of throwing my double energy generator, I know Kenshin's going to bring it back, so I'm going to just put it to the front, force it, I'm going to block anyway and move to the back. Now my double energy generator is alive in the back, and now we're in a good spot. So thinking about changing up game plan metrics is super important when you're facing against Kenshin. Kenshin will bully a lot of the tier 1 decks that we currently had. You're going to miss Purple Code probably after this. And Lancelot.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, deck is really strong. You need to know just how to play into it. The field, I think there's very few decks that punishes Kenshin at the moment, but that's just because Kenshin luckily came in with a slight nerf on its 2 cost. Yes. Basically, if you know, blue and purple both have a play as a 0 cost if your field is empty. They took that and basically said, we can do that. There is another option you can go about doing things, and that is some players do this as being aggressive and stuff like that, but they play the blue 0 cost, blue version, the blue miso, and they play the 0-cost blue Kenshin as another way of having an early aggression slam down for blocking or something like that if you need it, and then boom, you go off from there. And because blue target Kenshin is another raidable, once you get to 4, you can kind of just do things from there, right?
So, do you think that there's any specific decks in the format that are going to be able to prey upon this deck? Because personally, I can think of like 1 or 2, but not like a lot.
I think one deck in particular I would think is that because Kenshin plays so many triggers, that I think green Saitama can have a shot at. Because if you play the deck correctly and you just board control and you just block when need to be, once you're at the right magic number, you just kill Kenshin straight outright. You just don't give them an option, because again, red doesn't have enough natural draw to keep up. But again, you are facing red, so you're gambling against it. The other deck I think is red AOT, because they're just stupid fast and they don't care what Kenshin does, because most of their stuff is potatoes, bounces everything back to hand, and then basically what is Kenshin really doing? He might, because you can do the whole I play these guys and now I'm 4Ks and swinging, and as long as I use the food, I'm now even bigger, so again, a few decks that have a good potential. Again, though, I don't... Joey, what other one do you think?
Kirito. I think Asuna Kirito switch is going to be the counter to Kenshin in our meta. It is the only deck that, if you can't interact with its pieces, it's going to steamroll you a lot faster than whatever this deck is doing, without having multiple double attack Kenshins, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. I think that's the one where it's going to be Kirito is going to be the counter to this, I think, personally. But yeah.
JP was very interesting, even though they have a lot of good decks. I don't think there was many that... They had a lot more with the ReZero that just said it was actually able to be confident enough to handle Kenshin a bit.
Yeah.
But that's because ReZero is ridiculously strong.
Yes, I think it's the bad matchups against it is going to be any deck that is an affinity based deck that you need to keep a full board, front line and back line, to do your big things. Toshi is going to be one of those decks that just, it's unfortunate you're going to get steamrolled by Kenshin and stuff like that. Same thing with Metal Bat, and same thing with Black Bulls. Affinity style decks Kenshin preys on.
Yes,
but
for sure.
Outside of that, the deck is a fantastically fun, fairly budget deck that you can get if you can get the starter decks for MSRP, which you should be able to. And
most shops will not be doing what internet people are doing right now.
Correct.
That's because everybody and their mom has listed this deck as tier 1 broken, and that's where the problem lies, right?
Trust your LGS or experience Rick and get yourself what you need for the reasonable prices that they are. But I think that's going to cover everything we want to talk about. Big thanks to you, Kyle from Unionversity. Would you like to shout yourself out where people can find you on the internet?
Yeah, find me down in the description below, but I make YouTube content related to just meta talks and stuff like that. To be honest with you, with Rumble Rama this past weekend, I think we didn't have any red go off, but we saw a lot of one of the decks that we will be covering pop off. So
yes, and you can also find me down in the description below as well, and we will see you in the next video. Goodbye.
Peace.